Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, whenever you're listening to my history podcast. I'm your host, Alexander Woods. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking time of your day. It actually means a whole lot to me. I've heard some of my friends who I would run into here and there. They'd be like, "Oh, I heard your podcast, and I love it. I haven't caught up to all the episodes, but I'm still listening." And that's awesome to hear. So thank you for those who are catching the podcast, tuning in, and listening to all the shenanigans and fun games that happens on the podcast. So today, yes, this is an intro. It's an intro because the first 10 minutes were actually recorded in the best quality. So I scrubbed that and we're filling in those 10 minutes with these next 2 minutes of me telling you that that's what happened. My bad. The woes of learning how to video edit and so forth. Anyways, Gavin Stockton, that's who you're going to listen to here in the next minute, is an MSU graduate this year. Whoop whoop, go green. And he's got a degree in elementary education with 2 minors. That's awesome. A minor in TESOL and a minor in Spanish. He's hoping to, or should be at this point, working or soon to be working at, depending on when you listen to this podcast. All right, he's going to be working in Detroit at the academics. Let me see here. Academy of Americas. That's what it is. It's a Spanish immersion school in Detroit. Anyways, before I fumble my words here any further, let's get right into it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Comment below if you're on YouTube, or if there's a comment section on any other way that you listen to this podcast. I'm on everything. Anyways, let's get right into it.
To biology on a pre-med track.
Oh.
And then I know, ooh.
I was on that track before.
Yeah, I know. I think, every once in a while you're like, oh, money sounds so nice, and
and it's like, here's all this work. Money,
work. Money, work. And then for me, so I took an EMT class too, and then it was dead homeless person.
Yeah.
Not fun.
It gets depressing. It's money, it's work, it's depression.
Yeah, all right there. They put it all together for you in a nice little ball. So
call you a doctor.
Yeah, they call you a doctor, and it's like, well, this is for some people. It's not me. Not for me. Right. Anyway, so I ended up volunteering in this school in Grand Rapids Public called Dickinson Academy, and really just fell in love with the kids, fell in love with the school. And so I decided to change my major to high school science because I had all these science credits. So I was like, okay, high school science, it's going to be good. I think I want to work with a little bit older kids. Mm-hmm. And then kind of started the program, and within like the first 2 weeks, realized that I was already missing, having not even worked with high school kids, already missing my elementary young kids, my 5th graders, my 4th graders. So I was like, I don't even know why I went for high school. So I just went back to my advisor. I was like, I'm changing it to elementary. He was like, well, you don't have to change the classes. I was like, great. All right. So I ended up here, and then for Spanish, I've been studying Spanish for years, and I've just always thought that being bilingual is something that I want to achieve in my life. Yeah. So I decided to have the minor, kind of force myself into it. Haven't regretted it at all. And then TESOL, when I was working in Dickinson Academy, the thing that I noticed the most, and Gardner, is that teachers do not know how to teach like students who don't speak English. And so I just really saw that issue, and just really felt like that's something that I wanted to be able to do as a teacher. I didn't want to be the teacher who came in just completely unaware, like unable to teach students from really like a multicultural, multilingual world, which is what we live in. So I decided to add. I know, right? Crazy. I know. Some people would be shocked, but so I added that, and no regrets. And then I did my urban education concentration because I was working in Grand Rapids Public Schools and really loved working there, and knew that growing up in a rich white suburb that I had a lot to learn. So so I went. So I was doing what MSU offered, and I even, like, to be honest with you, I don't even think MSU offers really what you need to know, but it was a start. You know, had to start somewhere.
Someone's got to walk so the other person can run.
Right, exactly. Right. So they're holding me, holding me a little bit, and now I can walk on my own and figure things out on my own. So so it all worked out.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Can you give an example? Because you're saying it's hard for teachers to bridge that language barrier.
Yeah.
Can you give an example, or have you seen someone be terrible at trying to?
Yeah. So one of the things that you always hear for language learners is louder and slower. I don't know if you know what I mean, but it would be like,
hello,
how are you? And I've seen that in the classroom, or like, hi, you need to do math now, and it's like they don't understand that it's not the how loud or slowly you're speaking, it's the words that they just don't like. So what, and the phrase that we use in education is comprehensible input. So you need to be able to comprehend the input coming in to be able to process it all. But teachers, and I've seen this, gosh, I can't even, probably 3 or 4 times at least in the classroom with teachers who will speak louder and slower to their kids, shockingly so, still being they're looking both ways, like,
they're just gonna nod
they're like, do you understand? And then always the funniest thing to me after whenever a teacher does that is right afterward, they'll always go, did you understand? Yes. That's it. Okay. And they walk away. And you walk up, and that kid has no clue, no idea whatsoever, because they don't speak English. So it's like, what are you doing?
All they're going to say is yes to just kind of move it along.
Right.
And
they're like, if I can end this conversation. I swear, it's like, let me just end this awkward conversation that I'm having. The other thing that I often see is students don't receive content support. So, let's say I'm teaching a lesson on science, but my student doesn't understand the science lesson. Instead of teaching them that science, which they can completely grasp and understand often, I'm going to send them away with a tablet and Duolingo and like have them work on their English. So it's like we're going to sacrifice content learning for language learning. Which, in some cases it does make sense. But for the most part, when you sacrifice things that student needs to know for their language development, it's just poor quality teaching. It's just, because really what you're doing is you're saying this student is not as important, and like them learning science is not as important as other students learning science. And kids know. Kids are smart. Kids are way smarter than people give them credit. Always. They catch on. Catch on. And I'll give a story. This isn't exactly a PG story, but if that's okay.
So the way I do my podcast is you can say whatever you want to say.
Okay.
I'm not going to filter out. That's a little more work than I realized I do, like put in bleeps and whatnot. So
right.
Say what you got to say.
Okay, that's great. So you could see I had a bit of a fun night the other day, so I've got some hickeys on my neck. Anyway.
I thought the tattoo real
I appreciate that. I appreciate that you went for that first and not hickeys. But anyway, I went into the school yesterday with 6th graders, and of course I had my collar on, and I'm walking around. I'm like, they don't know hickeys. I'm like, nah, they're not.
They've seen TV.
I was like, in my head, I'm like, it'll be fine. I calm myself down. Like, they're not gonna notice. I have like these spoons that are frozen in my fridge. I've been like working it out. It hasn't worked in the last 3 days. I'll tell you what. So we get to school, and I'm walking around talking to the kids, and then we end up going. We play basketball, and so this whole time I've got the top button up, so like you can see, like if I have the top button up, you can't see it. But I'm playing basketball, and the button ends up coming loose. So I walk back to the class, and I'm chatting with them, and one of my students comes up and goes, "Mr. Gavin, do you have a hickey?" And immediately I'm like, No. Yeah, I'm like,
don't show reaction.
Yeah, no reaction. And I'm like, no, not at all. I was playing paintball 2 days ago.
That is a good story.
Thank you.
That is good.
And I was like, I got shot. Yeah, I was like, got shot right in the neck. And like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was like, it got like this bruise. One of my students goes, "You seem really nervous right now."
No, that kid.
I was like,
that kid detention.
You need to get out. You need to stop right now.
Right.
So then the student starts walking by. She's like, "Mr. Gavin has a hickey. Mr. Gavin has a hickey." So then I'm sitting there like, oh, God.
There goes my job.
But of course, at this point, I'm in full denial mode. I'm like, no, it's paintball. It's paintball. Like, you have to trust me. Come on. So then my students proceed to Google hickeys, and they're showing me, which of course I fucking know it's a hickey. Yeah, like, of course I know.
They're just trying to prove you wrong.
So they're like showing me. They're like, look, this is how hickeys happen. Like, this is how we know it's a hickey. And I'm like,
no.
Well, at least you're using your research skill. Yeah,
you guys are some good Googlers, all right.
At least you're using your resources correctly. I like that. And they're like, you're diverting. You're diverting from the point. I'm like, oh man. I'm just
saying, we gotta get like a backup, like show you either Photoshop in a paintball match and just like change the date on the time every time.
Right. But yeah. And then one of my favorite responses too is one of my students was like, "I know it's not paintball, but let the record state I would beat you in paintball."
Oh.
I was like, "Oh, you throwing shade? You throwing shade? It's 10 a.m. You're like, it's 10 a.m. We're throwing shade already. Like, you got a pinka? Let's go." Like, and he's like, "Yeah, whatever, Mr. Gavin." I was like, "All right."
So they call you Mr. Gavin, or they call you Mr. Was it Stockton?
Stockton's my last name. Yeah, I had them call me Mr. Gavin. It's one of those things where when we learn about teaching, we often talk about the importance of just building relationships. And it's weird. Like, I've been Gavin my whole life, and I've never really been like Mr. Stockton. So, if for as long as I can keep it that way, I will. I know there are some schools where it's kind of frowned upon to like use your first name. Yeah. Out of just respect.
The respect and power approach. Yeah. Or authority, I should say.
Right.
Power, but you know how it is. Yeah.
But that's exactly my issue with it, which is kind of the funny part, is like I don't really feel like teachers should be this insane authority figure that, I need to listen to everything my teacher said. Like, you should question your teachers just like you question your politicians, your professors. I would never say parents, but also...
where's the next one?
But also...
Politicians, professors, where's the parents?
That's a little bit of one. But it's important to question the world around you. It's important to, like, recognize... and it's important to have the space to also, really question, like... why did my teacher say that? And is that appropriate? Because sometimes I say the wrong things too, and it's important to have a student feel comfortable enough to be like, hey, like, that's not cool, or like, that upset me, and me be like, all right, like, I hear you, and I respect what you're saying and where this information is coming from. So,
right.
So yeah, that's what I try and do, but so I'm Mr. Gavin. That's what I am, Mr. Gavin, for as long as I can maintain that and hold that. And I like it.
That's real good. I can relate to that just because of my background as a camp counselor.
Right.
And I had kids either call me Mr. Alex or, it's Counselor Alex or whatever. Right. Whatever words were easier to say.
Right.
And it's usually the youngest ones that are like the cutest little buttons ever. Oh my goodness. I had one kid. Mm-hmm. He was he started singing a Drake song. I was like, yo, you're like 5 years old. How do you know this? And he started going, I was like, all right.
The fact that he memorized part of it too, I'm like, 5 years old? Like, I wasn't memorizing song lyrics at 5 years old? No way.
I barely get the first verse down.
No. If I got the title, I might have been proud of it. So that's
they're
cool.
Super smart, great kids.
Yeah, one of my favorites too is whenever a kid forgets my name, they're like,
You're not supposed to have your favorites.
right. No favorites. No favorites, absolutely.
Favorites.
But one of my favorites is I love it when one of my kids like has like a brain lapse and they're like, teacher, can I have? You're like, I know you forgot my name, and you know what? It's chill. It's chill. Yeah, you're good. I don't know. Did you have any kids who were like, counselor, or like, hey, dude, or like, anything like that?
I had one who was real chill. He was also one of the troublemakers too.
Of course.
Because it's always the ones that are like, I can relate to him so much. And that's why I cannot like let him be too lenient or whatever.
Right.
Because then he starts going off and like being the class comedian.
Yeah.
Those are annoying times. But they're also like, that kid was a good kid. So, and there was other kids.
They all are.
Yeah. Honestly, yes, they're all good kids. That had another kid who super freaking bright, like artistically woke, like in an area of like I haven't seen. Like they'll do graffiti art, right? On their little notebooks. And it was just the most beautiful stuff ever. And I was like, oh, I want to keep that. Can I keep that? And they're like, yeah, I'll take a picture of it or whatever. And I was like, you really should focus and continue this type of route because you could be somebody great doing this. And you're like, but my family. I'm like, yeah, sure, I understand. But really look this out. Really. So I hope for the best of them that they found that route and had wit.
Well, it's good that they had someone who was like, go get that. Go get that. Like, I love that.
I feel like when we were kids, no one told us to like. We're really, pushing us toward the right things that made us feel happy.
Right. Well, it wasn't about happiness, and I think part of me feels like it's a generational thing too, because my parents were my mom became a businesswoman even though she hated business. She has a degree in cultural anthropology. Okay. So she was all about culture and that kind of stuff. Nice. Yeah, but she decided to go kind of the money route, and it was totally because her parents were giving the message of, well, if you don't have money, you're not successful. It's hard to change that mindset, but if I was a kid and I had gone up to my parents and been like, I want to be a graffiti artist, I just know they would have been like, they would have said, what are you? So what? I was like, graffiti artist. Try again. Like reverse, try again. Like, you want to live in our basement all your life, Right. But then, but to have kids who have that, that role model who is able to really inspire, like really encourage and tell them, you want to be a graffiti artist, do it. Go for it. Get it.
Because it was honestly some of the most inspiring art. So has there been children that you've seen or taught with that have left an impact on you?
That's a good question. Yeah, absolutely. There are, in every class, I feel like there are a couple of students who I just really bond with, or, they'll say something that really makes me question the way I think. The most recent example is I just started subbing recently this year. It's been crazy. Let me tell you.
It's a big boom for subbers right now.
It's a big move. And so, when you walk into a sub class, it's like all hell breaks loose, because the kids are like,
the teacher's away, the party is today.
Yeah, exactly. And the kids know that. No matter how much of how good of a sub are you, and at some level, the kids are like,
yeah, we're getting off easy today.
Who are you?
We got the movie on the...
Okay, put up the movie. Like, let's get it going. But anyway, so I was subbing in this class, and I actually am a student teacher in this class too. And so I was working with these students, and they were just being disrespectful, honestly. They weren't listening, and I go up to the student, and I'm talking to him, and the student... just the most blunt, kids, they don't hold back. And he was like, Mr. Gavin, can I be honest with you? And I was like, yeah, I would expect. Regardless. I was like, at this point, you better be honest with me. He's like, I kind of wish that you weren't our sub today. I was like, it's like, ooh. I was like, why is that? And he's like, because I just knew these kids were going to disrespect you. And he was like, not to be like rude to you, but like, they're disrespectful to all subs, but like I just didn't want them to be like disrespectful to you. So I was like kind of hoping they would come. Yeah, he was looking out for me. He was, and absolutely. Like, I was like, homie, like, thank you. I appreciate that. But he's like, and he finishes the sentence, and he's about to say something else, and I'm like, I gotta stop you right there. And in that moment, I just had an epiphany, and I just thought, I gotta put my foot down. So I just went up to the front of the class, and I basically just put my foot down, and I just stopped them all and just stopped them from talking and just told them, these are the expectations for the rest of the day. You are not going to disrespect me. You're not going to talk over me when I'm talking. All these things.
Right.
And the rest of the day was just great.
Right.
And like they heard me, they listened to me, because I had a feeling that I had already developed that respect.
Yeah.
And so when you develop that respect, I kind of was in my head thinking to myself, well, then I don't need like this discipline and this classroom management type stuff. But it wasn't working. And the student just said it in just the most, blunt yes way that just clicked in my head. And so I just got up in there and just said what I needed to say.
So there's two things that I know. Well, I guess one thing, not two things. Where from my experience, when you have to change from your good voice, I guess, and you have to go into like a more commanding and not yelling, but just elevated tone of a voice. Like, so was that type of okay.
Yeah, it was. It was absolutely. We'll call it the teacher voice. Elevated. Like, I'm not screaming at you, but I'm not happy right now. I'm like, I want to establish that in this classroom when I'm speaking, that you should not be speaking over me. That and it's weird because, like I said, there's such an interplay between respect, mutual respect, and being a teacher, but also being a role model. And even the fact that I say Mr. Gavin instead of Mr. Stockton, that's kind of outside of the norm. And so it leaves more room for kids to not listen to me, I think. Just kind of establishing a little bit more of friendliness, a little bit more familiarity. But I think in the end, that the lack of authority by creating those bonds is worth it when it comes to teaching.
Right. Because some of these kids are probably so used to authority and only seeing authority that if they weren't already welcome to more authority, that's not going to be more welcome to more authority. So I can see.
And that's exactly what I think too. And so I did. I had to raise my voice. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I raised my voice, and we did a little teacher talk, and so it's an interesting balance of that, like authority, friend / role model, because I'm playing with the kids at recess. I'm doing all these things that's about bonding and developing relationships. But then also I came to this realization of I have to put my foot down. I have to show them that when I'm speaking, when I'm teaching, that it is important. Like, I am teaching them substance, Right. So, and that's kind of the respect piece, I think, that really comes into play. But and I'm trying to think. I know that there are other times when kids have certainly taught me things, but I guess I can't come up with them off the top of my head.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's totally fine.
Yeah,
there's I could say when I was camp counselor from like I did 5 to 7 year olds, and then 8 to 10-year-olds, and then I had.
And you were a camp counselor where at again?
I was at a camp counselor from YMCA.
Okay.
And later on, Lansing Parks and Recreation.
Okay. Yeah.
So. With YMCA, it's great. The program is great. I have nothing wrong against it. I guess the only thing I could say wrongly on it is that I wish it was free for people who could bring their kids in there, because I wanted to help more of those children whose parents weren't as affluent and they didn't have as many resources to deal with or to reach out on and grasp a greater value of life in a sense. So that's where I went to Lansing Parks and Recs for that center, because it's more of it's a lesser charge program. Where parents can actually afford to drop their kids off.
Have their kids there. And no, that's great. I mean, that totally makes sense. And kids, I think camp is such a wonderful part of childhood, where like if you're able to really go outside of that, traditional schooling, but kind of still have that atmosphere of learning. And part of the issue is we don't teach those things in school too. No. We don't teach about graffiti art as you're talking about with your student. We don't teach music. I mean, we teach music, but I don't really think we teach music.
No.
And so to have that space.
Yeah, some high schools and some middle schools, they don't even have art as like their main or a subject. It's more like they either outsources or they don't.
Right.
So,
or you walk into art and it's color in this, picture or whatever. So, and that's lacking too. But yeah, it's good. I like education. It's one of those things where I think when you're going into a field like that, you really want to be like that new form of teaching. You really want to kind of display a different way of teaching, and so that's really what I'm looking forward to, is that creativity of doing something different.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I understand that completely.
Yeah.
Is there a teacher of your past that you model yourself after, or is there a certain figure that you model your teaching toward?
Yeah. So for many years, I used to always think of this teacher that I had at Dickinson Academy. I loved her. She really showed me what it meant to bond with your students, but also have respect. So she was goofy and funny, and these kids, they just loved her and they really respected her. And I've always tried to model after her. Of course, there were things that I would change. Like everyone, you have to make it personal. Teaching is very much a personal thing. It's kind of like your own personal performance every day.
Okay.
But I was really inspired by her, and I always have been. And even when I think back to, because this is when I was a student teacher. So when I think back to my own life and just like growing up in East Grand Rapids, which is my hometown, there are some teachers that I liked more than others. But when I look back, I very much think about the fact that it was just very traditional schooling. Like we sat in rows, and they threw stuff at me, and I would write assignments and occasionally work in small groups, which is fine. It works. It works for me, I guess, and I was able to make it here. But that model of schooling, I think, left me dissatisfied. Looking back, I think it doesn't mean that there weren't still good teachers. It's just that model of schooling, it just wasn't great. And there are a lot of things that I question why I even learned, especially when it comes to things like social studies and world history, and where now being in college and just being able to learn about different cultures and different people, where I realized that what we were talking about was really just white culture, white history, English language development. And so when I think about that, it does hurt how I view my teachers in the past, not because I don't actually think they just didn't know better in some cases. And in some cases they 100% knew and just, left it out. But it's so interesting to just look back and be like, well, that is how I want to be different. And, and it's hard. I don't really have teachers that stand out because of that, I think, and at least in part. But yeah, because, it's almost like they forgot a part of my education. So, yeah.
That's unfortunate you feel that way, but it's also, it leaves open a nice void that you can fill in by just being that what they couldn't tell you to be, or what they couldn't show you how to be.
Right. And I don't want to like hate on all the teachers at East. Obviously, there are good teachers. There are great students. There are great staff, and they did their best. And just for me, I'm thinking like, there's not even a teacher that I'm like, yeah, that teacher was like killing it. There were subjects I liked. I love science always. So, and I had some good science teachers, and so that would probably be one of my favorites is my science teachers. But I don't know if I'd want to model my practice off of them.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
Yeah,
I still remember some of my own teachers in the past. I remember my first teacher I can think of, which was Miss Clark.
Okay,
wonderful teacher. First grade. She would like help me out, but also didn't need to help me out. So she kind of knew where kids were at. And it was like my first day in there. I still remember my first day of first grade, which is funny. I get in there.
That's great.
And my mom was like introducing me to the teacher, and this other student comes up and is like, Miss Clark, I can't find out what rhymes with either the word was six or the word was mix. But I replied with, oh, sticks. Or I said six, one of the two. And then my mom's like, stop interrupting, whatever. And my teacher, or Miss Clark at the time, she was like, that's good. Yeah, that works. He'll fit him right fine. And, it was just like,
oh, that's great.
Thank you. Yeah, I am right.
Yeah.
Shut up, Mom.
No, right, though. Your mom's like, giving you a little bit of attitude or whatever.
Right, like
See?
Yeah.
Not that bad. I knew. Hell, that's good. So
that, and then I had a Mr. Isham.
Okay.
That was real cool. It was fifth grade, and he knew how to command the class, but also he knew how to just have fun and let things happen. So there's that certain balance you gotta have.
Absolutely, and I love that. And I never had a homeroom teacher. I remember though, in my elementary school, Mr. Mitten was always like that. And I remember
Mr. Mitten.
Yeah, alright, right off the bat. We used to hear stories, right? So I was in the other house. I was in Mrs. Hoy's class, and she was mean. And I just remember everyone was like, Mrs. Hoy's mean. Watch out. She was mean. She was very much, this is how the class goes.
Yeah.
Very monotone too. And I used to be so jealous. And Mr. Scheidel too, and he was in fifth grade. And then I had the nice but boring teacher, Mrs. Rabideau.
I had a Rarick.
And
I like it.
Yep.
And I had a I forget her name. It was in sixth grade. But the only she also would sell Avon. It was this
is that makeup?
I think it was makeup stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, would do that on the side, and that's how I kind of knew her as Avon because I was I would have this tendency to try to speed run my assignments because I'm I know this, and continue on. But it'll also sometimes be my detriment because I'm finishing it too fast and I'm not thinking things clearly enough or slow enough to where I can get down the accurate answer.
Yeah.
So she would always be sending it back to me or whatever. And I would just blah, 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 here or whatever, right? So she got mad at me for doing that and was you don't always have to raise your hand first or whatever. So I was all right, I guess I'll sit here and wait for the whole class to answer questions because this is so slow. And I'm just I hated it.
Yeah.
So Avon Lady is what I call her.
Avon.
Because I don't remember her name. But
right.
I did not like her.
Well, I think that just goes to show. Avon Lady, wasn't even worth remembering your name.
Not even worth it. And then she would flirt with one of these kids' fathers. I was I know. We can all see this.
I just love it when some teachers are the kids don't notice. And I'm
nah, we know.
Sure. The kids, they don't notice. They don't notice
you flirt.
You flirt with a teacher. They pick up on way more than you think they do.
So much.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's really how it is. But so I met you at the Avenue.
Yes.
Which was a great night. Yeah. I have bits and pieces that are a little bit blurred, but I was told that because we were there. I was there with my friend Marlise.
Yeah.
And then
nice.
She was really nice. Or she is really nice still. she hasn't died. Oh my god, she hasn't died or anything. She's still around. And she's great. And we were there with your brother too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And gosh, that was a fun night. And I think we ended up. Did you go to Taco Bell with us then too?
I don't know if we went to Taco Bell, but I do remember us going to
Tin Can. Yes, downtown Tin Can.
And then at that point, I think since that was closing, my brother Jamonte, he was going to drop you guys off at MSU. And I was just going I'm just going to go home now.
Yes, Marlise and I have been talking about that for weeks now. We were Jamonte, our actual savior, driving us home.
Legit.
Well, because we had this hilarious moment where we were about to leave, and then Jamonte comes back. He's I don't exactly remember what happened, but I just remember him saying, I gotta go do, I'll be back in just a second. You all wait for me. And he, left and came back with, a girl. And we were and we were like,
did I remember? Was that
both me and Marlise are we don't know what happened, but respect. And then we would spend the whole car ride with her. And we were damn, she's kind of cool. We're just on top of it. We're she's kind of cute and she's kind of cool. What? Where?
Let me put that in my phone because I gotta remind myself to ask him about this.
Yeah, no.
What is this about? What happened?
No, you have to, because Marlise and I, we were what in the world? This is hilarious to us. But also just it's great. Good for him,
Yeah.
So that was funny. And then he dropped us off, and so Marlise and I were our savior. We love him. Dropping us off. But that was
that guy forever, man. So he is and I call him my brother. He's not like my brother, but
Okay,
I call him
okay.
my brother because I've known him since 6th grade, and we've been like through thick and thin, and we've had a lot of very fun moments, and then a lot of like, yo, we need to get out of here type of moments.
Yeah,
so
like
it's
I don't know, whatever time it is, like
yeah, we need to like let's just go, let's go. You know, it's yeah. So there's we've had a lot of cool stuff going on, but that's a number one person to like that's one thing I would say in life too is have someone who's like 100% down to help you out no matter what. Have one person. You don't need 3 or 4.
Right.
One person. I don't care who it is.
Well, that's what my friends and I, I've got probably 2 people that I would consider like my oldest friends, Keith and Emma. And, one of the things that we've talked about is
Keith, shout out to Emma.
Shout out to both of them right on here. MI History. Check it out. Wait, if you're on here, you already did. Great job.
great.
No, and I've known Emma since I was in kindergarten, and she was my neighborhood friend, and man, we've been through it. Let me tell you, we've been through it. But now it's like that's my homie. Like, if I need to bury a body,
yeah, exactly.
I would never be in that position. But if I was,
if nefarious things were to have happened, I know one person.
Yeah, I was like, call her up, right?
Right, and no one else would be the wiser. Yeah, I know.
And I think having like a friend that's a really good friend, it doesn't even need to be a long friend, but just a friend that you're like that person. I think it says a lot about someone. If you if you know people that you're like, yeah, like that person, they would go a ways for me. It really just shows that you probably also put in the work and like you're willing to put in the work. And I think it says a lot about a person. It really does.
There's what was it? It was a podcast I had listened to last year. It was called Hidden Brain, and they were talking about like therapy and whatnot. But there's one thing they're called like friendship therapy, right? So I listened to the podcast, and I was like, yo, this is kind of funny. This is funny. It's like this lady is counseling two cool guy friends or whatever, and they're just like expressing their affection and relationship as a friendship with each other, and it was like. That's kind of cool. Yeah. So I shared the podcast with Jamante and another friend of ours. And I was like, you guys need friendship therapy. Me telling them to get friendship therapy.
Right.
It's a joke of it. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure you need it. So it's cool to have those type of connections. And I was bringing that up and to say, like, when you have those relationships where you're bounded together through events, but you also can bounce off each other just like normal conversation and just being around each other, that's real nice, that's real cool, it's real chill, because so few of that you kind of see in actual real life
I completely agree. And like for me too, it's interesting because in many ways, specifically Emma, we have many similarities, but we're also different in so many in so many ways, but it doesn't matter. Because that history is just enough where, I know that she would be there if I needed her. And so, it's great to just have a person that you can really just think, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes when we're talking, I know exactly what he's going to say. And I'm like, I'm planning my next comeback or whatever. I'm playing 5D chess and he's over here playing 4D. And I'm like, yeah, I got you.
Right. Well, because you know what they say about friends, right? Friends are nice to you, but best friends roast the shit out of you.
Yeah. Like we burn.
And you're like, you're ready for it. You're like, hey, I know that you're coming with some shit for me.
Right.
And I'm about to come right in. You're like, do it. I'm going to come right back at you with it. I'll come right back.
We're see who's bringing the knife to this gunfight. And I'm telling him all out of knives.
Exactly. You're like, I'm ready for it. Because at the end of the day, like, you love each other. Like, you're brothers, right? Yeah. That's my sister. That's my brother. Like, but that doesn't mean I can't roast you.
Right. Exactly. It means I can't.
Right. Exactly.
And you're still gonna love me. So that's
you have siblings too, then?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I have an older sister and a younger brother. Yeah. Another older sister, another older brother.
Oh, okay.
Another older sister. So
Okay. Yeah, you got a big family.
I got a big family.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's real cool. I haven't talked much to all of them as much often as I would like to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm trying to work on this year. So actually, one of my older sisters, she's like a year older than me.
Okay.
Yeah, she turned. Now she's either a year or two or a year like and a half old. Because she turned, I think, 31 today. Or
right.
A couple days ago.
Yeah.
So I called her, wish her happy birthday. But now I got to do the same thing for all my other siblings. So I'm like, because I don't remember birthdays like that. Like, I don't remember.
Not me neither, man. Like, it's bad.
I had to put it down on my calendar. Like, okay, this is this person's
the yearly
reminder. And then there's a thing like
Facebook, though.
Yeah, that's what Facebook is so for.
Yeah,
but I try to like get
the only thing
off
for
it,
me.
But like, yeah.
Literally the only thing for me. Those birthdays, I just come back. Yeah.
Crisp.
Yeah.
Supremo. So that's one thing I want to work on, and which I'll do a podcast about my past 30 years or so forth. When the time is right, just give me the chance, guys. Just wait on it.
Right. You got to have someone else to interview you then, though.
Maybe
you gotta find someone, right?
I might do that.
Or you can do. I guess you could do a self interview. Could be kind of cool.
Yeah, self interview.
Yeah.
I got some
little autobiography type interview, but
my last autobiography.
This is my last one.
So bringing it back to teachers and your education.
Sure.
Where are you going after MSU? Like, what's the? Because I remember you were telling me before.
Yeah.
Let the folks know.
No, I'd love to share. I'm actually really excited. So I applied for this thing called the Residency program, which was this new piloted program at MSU that basically pays you 15 to 20 hours a week to take kids out and do reading or writing interventions. And so I got accepted, and I'm going to be working at this. Nice. Yeah, let's go. And I got accepted. So I'm going to be working at this school called the Academy of the Americas, which is this school in DPSCD, which is Detroit Public Schools, and it's a Spanish immersion school. So I'm really excited, looking forward to it. A little bit intimidated because my Spanish still needs work.
So you've been studying for 12 years, but you feel you still need work on it?
Always. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Just because I'm surrounded by basically native English speakers, and because English is the language of power, and all these different complex issues with linguistics. I don't really use my Spanish other than basically when I'm forced to.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
Yeah, and so it makes it hard to really develop the language when you're not consistently hearing it. And it's one of those things where neurons develop when you use them. So the second you stop using them, the second you start losing them. So
that's good. Quote.
Yeah, thank you.
Put that in my email signature.
There we go. There we go. And so, and it's really interesting because I have always tried to follow that model throughout my life. For little things, you'll see I have my guitar, I've got my ukulele over here, and I don't practice those a lot. But what I've realized is if I literally wait like 2-3 months, then I lose it all. Because you just got to keep it up. You got to keep the muscle memory going. And the second you stop using something you start forgetting it. You start losing that knowledge.
Yeah.
So, and that's the same thing with Spanish is the second that I really get immersed, really, really, really working on it, I either like my classes end or, if I'm on vacation, my vacation ends. And so then I stop using it consistently.
Yeah.
But that is one of the reasons why I would really love to work in a Spanish immersion school, because I think that would provide that opportunity to really consistently practice Spanish, basically.
Yeah, it is forcing you to do that.
Exactly.
And you're in that environment where it's expected to not know something you're trying to know.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what I'm looking for. But next year's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be great.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
So
you haven't tried any does MSU have like a Spanish club? I feel like they do.
They have like a Spanish minor and major programs, but other than that, they don't really.
They don't have like clubs like.
Yeah, you're right. They do have a Spanish club.
I was gonna say.
I know.
Walk in like, hey guys.
I know. And a part of the issue is, that is my own fault too. They have these things called platicas, which are these little chats you can do too, and there are things that I could do. Black it, and it's falling short on it. I got to get on. I do. I got to get on it, but I've fallen short thus far. So
Yeah.
But
have you tried learning different cultural things of like Spanish origin? So like bachata or salsa or anything like that.
Oh
like
yeah, yeah. I did try learning salsa for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably hilarious to anyone who got to see the video. And then other than that, I would say I haven't done probably a lot, which is another thing that I'm just it's one of those things where I just cannot wait to just learn and learn and learn. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the Spanish immersion school is also going to provide a lot of opportunities to learn. But I've also I think the other thing is food. I just love food,
Food.
And
Taco Bell is America's best Mexican.
Yeah, right. Yes, go to Taco Bell. No, but have you ever had like a traditional Mexican taco, like corn tortilla, some El Pastor, like cilantro, onions? Oh, yes. Lime. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the lime is the sweetener, the honey.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. That might just be one of my favorite foods. Honestly, it is just delicious. Actually just hearing about this restaurant that apparently does the best tacos in Lansing. El Oasis.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Oh really? You been?
Oh yeah, I've been.
Okay.
For real. No, that's good.
All right, good. I'm happy that you're like. Well, we have a Lansing native here. Everyone, For everyone listening, we have a Lansing native. El Oasis.
I know the place. El Oasis right off of Saginaw, going east.
Yeah.
I know.
Yep.
Right past. Right. So that used to be a Catholic church next to it, but then it got switched to like a mosque, and then I'm not sure if it's like no, it was Jewish.
It was so synagogue.
Yeah, it was a synagogue.
Yeah.
There we go. And then it got switched to a mosque, I think.
Okay.
And then it might have not. I'm not sure what's happening with the building right now.
Okay,
but
interesting.
El Oasis is right next to it. Across from it is a Big B, also good. That road though is treacherous to just drive down. Like it's just.
Oh, welcome to Michigan.
Center, right?
Well, there's two seasons in Michigan. There's winter and construction season.
100%.
We just started construction season. It's great. I'm seeing the signs everywhere around town now.
It's
oh yeah, love it.
Every lane closed and your detour lasting you another hour.
Extra 20, 30 minutes going around.
Right.
But don't worry, in the winter it's much better because then you hit every fucking pothole that you didn't think even could possibly exist. You're like, oh.
Where was that at?
It gets to the point sometimes where I'm literally apologizing to my car. I'm like, hey, like,
right.
I'm sorry. I don't mean it. You can keep going. You can do it.
Yeah. So I know exactly where El Oasis is at. I've gone there several times.
Okay.
Actually, a dude I went with middle school with, he works there, and I was like, oh, Salim, is that you? And he's like. Yeah. Really? So I'm like, oh man, how's it going? So it was like, oh, that's
so cool,
crazy.
Yeah, you go back to your hometown, you're like, oh my gosh, or just I guess you're in your hometown. You're chilling. Yeah, you're here, so you get to see people. You're like, hey.
I'm kind of a townie, but I still go out of town here in Niagara Rapids, Detroit, or if I need to Ann Arbor. I've been up to Saginaw, Midland area.
Yeah,
Midland is less exciting. It's 100% less exciting.
Yeah, I've been through Midland.
Yeah, it's
what I've noticed is corn.
Yeah.
Corn, they've got some of that.
Windmills, couple factories.
Right.
Yeah. It's not
I think there's McDonald's.
There's definitely a McDonald's.
Right, but that's you gotta have one of those, I guess, in every small town.
Shout out to y'all, to the Midland people.
Yup.
You guys know.
No, but okay, so I have a friend who also has a big family. She's got 7 sisters and 2 brothers.
Wow.
But I think one of the funniest things about that is I was like, oh yeah, so like because I don't know, I've got 2 brothers, so I talk to my brothers all the time, and like we're all very close. Mm-hmm. But then when I was talking to her, and she was kind of like, well, like. I'm close to the people kind of my age, and like the older people know me, like they know my existence. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's fair. Would you say it's kind of like that for you, where like you have kind of a couple siblings that you're like very close with, and then some that are kind of a little bit more.
No, definitely. I would say, I guess it's gonna go on record. I'm closer with. Well, here's the thing. It's more so experience, but also in age. So the closest,
right? Well, because there was just people you literally spent more of your childhood with, right? Yeah.
So there's my sister there, and then one who's closest to my age is my other older sister, who I talk to a little more often than before, but I guess again, it's just it's interesting because I have three siblings who I talk to more often than I talk to my other siblings on any given month period or whatever. And the other one I see more often, or two of my siblings I see more often than the other one. So, but yeah, no, I get what you're saying. There are siblings that you can have that you associate with more and you feel closer to and relate closer to than your other siblings.
Yeah.
Whether it be by age or by experience.
Yeah. I think that's Well, I mean, it makes sense. It really does.
Yeah.
That's just how the world works, and yeah, I mean, it's not that you love any of your siblings less than the other. Of course not. It's just
I love them all.
Yeah, you're just closer with, or spent more time with. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, even for me, my younger brother was there for basically my entire childhood, and my older brother was kind of after he was 5 years older than me, so. When I was in my years when I really remember, because you don't really remember those young years, he was gone. So yeah, and so then you just don't really develop those connections nearly as much, but still very close to both of them. So,
for sure. Yeah. If you need to know any places in Lansing, just like, hey, where is this?
Yeah,
actually, okay.
Yeah, give me some more information about Lansing.
So this
I'm
is
curious.
A great African food restaurant, right?
Okay. Yes.
It's Tatse. I can't remember if it's Tatse of something.
All right, I'm looking this up right now.
Great. It's off of Washington downtown.
Marlise would also love this.
No. Yeah. No, it's so
how do you spell this?
Tatse.
Tatse.
In Lansing. Look for that.
Lansing.
What comes up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. Yo, they make some great African food. Like
really? Okay.
I had something so simple. It was a chicken bowl with rice and plantains, and I swear I almost felt like my ancestors reach up and like praise. Like it was so good.
You felt that spiritual connection with the food. So good. You were like, I feel them. It was so good, I mean, that's the thing about food, though. Like, food will bring you back. It will, eating. I just love eating. Like, I really do. It's just one of those parts of my day that I don't really think about that much, but those 15 to 20 minutes that I'm eating, those are just great moments. I'm just getting into that sandwich or that taco or wrap or whatever, and it's just great.
I'll just share a study. I mentioned this last time on my podcast, so I won't mention it again. You guys already heard it, so I'll just mention it to you on the podcast. But it's about food. But going off from Tatse or taste or however they want to pronounce it, I'm not going to try to pronounce it incorrectly, but I probably already did. It was so good. I had a chicken bowl with rice and plantains, but I made it spicy, and it was so good. Like the rice was like, so it wasn't bit expensive. So it was like I think $23 or $25. And I was like, that seems a lot just for like myself, right? Like I'm used to Applebee's prices, 2 for $25.
Right.
Applebee's, but I'm just saying that's
no, but those are the anywhere from like 12 to 16, I feel like is like what I'm very accustomed to, right? Yeah.
25 is like, all right, this better be freaking good, or I'm gonna be so upset. I'm just like, it's so good. So it was like the chicken, it was falling off the bone. I could just pull it off. And I saved the plantains for last. I was like, okay, if the chicken's is good, if the rice is good, it was a lot of rice too. So the portion size, I was full for like literally the whole day because it was so packed full of like flavor and hopefully nutrients. But it was it was so good. And I had to like ask the cook, like, how do you make these plantains good? I got a couple plantains.
You're like, I literally cannot live without these anymore. Right. You've introduced me to something.
So I'm like, how do you make these plantains? Because I got 2 in my fridge right now, and I'm like, I'm really needing to like figure out how to make this. Because the way I make them does not taste like this. Like, it
does not compare.
It's just like, okay. Well, what you do is you take the plantains and you cut them up and you put them in a pot of oil and you make sure the oil's covering them. And that's it. I'm like,
I'm like, you serious? I've been doing it wrong this whole time, I guess. Like,
but also just the fact that it's just that simple.
It's
just oil, plantains,
and you fry them up, and you're good to
So
go.
good.
So you actually, I need to check to make sure they're nice and brown right now, so I can go home and cut them.
Yeah,
and
yeah. Make that up for. Did you have dinner then or no?
No, I'm going to.
Okay, yeah. You eat those plantains. Yeah,
right,
got
exactly,
to.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, my mentor teacher from the Dominican Republic was actually talking about plantain manduras, which is like basically sauteed plantains. And she was like, this is the only food I can't live without.
Yeah, because that's what I was doing. I was sauteing them.
Yeah.
But the way she did was deep frying them. I'm like, deep fry, man. This is different. And the flavor just... I've never had a sweet banana, but that's what it was. I guess not. I had because I had plantains, but like it tasted so sweet. Like it was.
Oh, that sounds so good. Okay, I'm
go
going.
back. You
I'm
gotta
going.
go. You gotta go.
I'm going. Okay, so we have African food, we have tacos / Mexican food. Do you have any other place that you just need to shout out right now?
I mean, there's several because Lansing has several different like good Mexican food spots.
Yeah,
and there's another one off of Pleasant Grove and Holmes in the Pleasant Grove little market area that I had the other day. I had me some gorditas and some rice and beans, and it was they did everything perfectly, and it was a chicken. I didn't want beef, but it did everything so perfectly. The service was nice. The only person that spoke English was a cashier, so 1000%.
That's how you know.
that is how you know 1000%. Your food is authentic.
I'm telling you what, there's this place right down here, Big Mom's house.
Okay.
Big Mama's house. Every time I walk in there, nobody speaks English. I basically just point at the menu, and they're like, "Okay, you want that spicy?" Really, they're just saying spicy. Yeah, spicy. Okay.
Big Mama's house.
Big Mama's house.
I'm gonna check this out now.
And
what do they sell?
Korean food.
Korean food.
Yeah.
All right.
And it is amazing. If I had to recommend something, do you like seafood?
Yeah.
All right. So they have this thing that's pork, squid, and I think it's pork, squid, and beef, but I'm not exactly sure. And they cook it in this sauce, and I can't, like, my mouth is watering right now. Can't even, like, yeah, really, I know. And I can't eat. Oh my gosh, but it is to die for. Let me tell you, it is so good. I think it's called the it's like OOMOM and then like Bulgogi. So I don't know, but it's so good.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah, you'll have to.
So there's that, and then there's you've been to Sapporo.
Yes, Sapporo ramen. Oh my gosh, we actually have one of those in Grand Rapids too. My
Cool,
little brother worked there for a while.
Oh, nice.
But still, I mean,
yeah.
It's one of those things where I like soup, but that ramen broth, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like just pour me a glass of this. Yeah, drink it like drink it out of a cup
of ramen.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You have a large cup of ramen. Just
miso soup.
Yeah. That's what I want exactly. Yeah. I need to start learning how to make these things though. Really, like
I try to do my own every now and then, and I bought myself a what's it? It's like a camp stove burner.
Oh yeah.
So you can just put it. It's portable. Put it anywhere. So I grab that. Grab a pot. Grab some faux sauce. To make my own hot pot or whatever. Yeah. So I learned how to do that, and that was so tasteful. Even with not all the ingredients that I wanted to have. But with enough of it, it turned out to be like a great dinner that I did for my family. Oh yeah, they loved it.
And there's just a lot of satisfaction in like doing it yourself. Yes. And then being able to serve it and having other people also really enjoying your food. And you're like, yeah, okay. This was actually
the day after I had got my COVID shot. Bro, I will tell you that was
Were you dead? Fun. I was gonna say, were you dead?
I was so dead. I was so dead.
My first COVID shot, I was like, I was so tired. Yeah, no, literally. And like to cut anything with that R. Oh my gosh, because I had like muscle sores that was like, I was from like here. Yes. Oh my god.
My spine ached from the top down. My head was pounding. I felt so tired.
Yeah.
I was just like, I can't. Yeah. I can't even speak right now. Where's the Tylenol? I just pour out the bottle. With some milk in it and start eating.
Okay, now back to the fuck. Okay, now back to baking. All right.
So it was terrible. Yeah. It was so good.
That's good.
And I knew it was my sense of taste, so I was like, all right, cool.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I actually got the shot, and then I got COVID a week later.
Oh no!
So I'm sitting there like, no, it's like, no, how do you figure this? Because I never had it before. And then I get it a week and a half before I'm supposed to get my next shot, basically, or like 2 weeks. Yeah. But it all worked out. Yeah, man. I guess I'm like. Well, now I'm quadruple vaccinated, like keep add them up.
Right.
Yeah, so that was crazy though.
For sure,
just the whole time, but
yeah, man. And then I try to do my own ramen, so I do my own try to do my own pho, and then I try to do my own ramen. So I buy like the really really hot, like extreme 4 times X, like with the chicken spitting fire ramen. And I try to do something with that, and it's enjoyable. I have I
was gonna say, do you have a high spice tolerance? Yeah, so
these hot chili peppers on here. I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's exactly it. I have a spice palette.
Good, so do I. Man, have you ever had some Thai chili peppers?
Yeah. No, wait, those are the real skinny ones.
They're like tiny. I actually have some.
Yeah, let me see these. And you guys can see too.
They're crazy, man. These are the hottest peppers I think I have ever had.
Oh yeah.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, I've seen this
one. Yeah, some of these are going bad. Yeah. Man, like even like touching my skin sometimes, I'll like go here and I'll get like a little bit, like you get like that little bit of that.
You mind if I have some?
No, man.
All right, cool.
No, man. I'll get.
I'm gonna go home and make some ramen right now.
I'm not gonna eat all these.
Yeah.
I've been working on it and like I put in like 2 or 3 and like I can't even do it all.
Oh, jeez. Thank you.
Yeah.
Super. Oh, man. Yeah, this is going to be good. I'm going to be eating tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to be sweating tonight.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're good, though. And that's
for
what
real.
it's about. But,
I love these. These are good.
Yeah. So I got those at the Asian market for $2 for, like, this massive thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't keep them preserved for so long because I had some habaneros. From Kroger.
Yeah.
And they went bad within a week.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, how?
These, I swear, the spice scares off bacteria.
I guess.
They're not fucking around. But no, I do think it's like partly just the container. So I just keep them in like an air sealed container. And like I get these from like going to No Thai. So I just wash them and reuse them, but yeah, no, I hope you like them.
No, for real.
I like the flavor. Honestly, like it's a very good flavor. It's just I take out the seeds because it's so spicy.
Chopping them in.
I want you to. I do. I want you to like throw them in and just rock and roll with it. Absolutely.
For real.
Yeah. So I actually have to go somewhere around.
You're hitting about hour mark here.
So
I appreciate this.
No, I honestly had a ton of fun. I was a little bit nervous at first. I was like, because you're like,
talking, it's like, oh, it's been about a whole hour now.
Right. You're just chilling. So happy to do it.
Thank you everybody for tuning in. Peace, love, and prosperity. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Have a wonderful day. Bye.